Hello and welcome back to our Lord of the Rings LCG solo progression series, and today's quest is the Nightmare version of A Journey to Rhosgobel, which was the third adventure pack in the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle. A quick reminder, in this series we're playing through each quest in chronological order of the game's initial release, and we'll only be using player cards that were available at the time of this quest's release. I'm calling this deck Ill Eagle Activity, and that's because just like the regular version of A Journey to Rhosgobel, we are trying to save a wounded eagle, Williador. But unlike the normal version of A Journey to Rhosgobel, this one, the Nightmare version, is really hard. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like, for me, this is the hardest quest so far, other than Escape from Dol Guldur. So it took me a little while to build this deck. I feel pretty good about it. Let's get to the quest and see how we do. All right, our opening hand is one that we want to mulligan. And I feel better about that. Usually I like to see either Asphaloth or Thor's Map in my opening hand. But it's really more about just a good, well-rounded opening hand rather than any specific cards. So here's the Nightmare setup. And so we have to remove the following cards and the following designations. And let's look here at what the Nightmare mode adds to the quest. For setup, we search the encounter deck for one copy of Goblin Eagle Hunter and add it to the staging area. Then shuffle the encounter deck. Here is that card, Goblin Eagle Hunter. It says the Goblin Eagle Hunter gets +1 hit point per player. So in the solo game, that'll be 5 hit points. And it has a force effect at the end of the combat phase, deal 1 damage to Williador. So more on that in just a moment. There's also a forced effect that to me is probably the most difficult thing to overcome in this quest. And that is that the first creature enemy revealed during each quest phase gains Surge. A little bit like Bolg and the Battle of Five Armies. But let me just show you just how many creature cards are in this deck. We've got Ungoliant Spawn, Mirkwood Flock, Hummerhorns, these Black Forest Bats. This one here is really tough. Treetop Bird Eater. So you can see King Spider. There just are a lot of these creature cards, and so it's very likely that just about every other round or so you are going to reveal a creature card, and it's going to surge. And then there's a response after an Athelas card is placed in the discard pile. You may shuffle it into the encounter deck. That's a response, so we can eventually more easily get the Athelas cards. Okay, so that was the changes on A Journey to Rhosgobel. Here is the 1A, the Wounded Eagle. After a fierce conflict with a group of trolls, you come across a fallen eagle, grievously wounded and on the verge of death. For setup, we search the encounter deck for Rhosgobel and Williador and add them to the staging area with 2 damage tokens on Williador. Then shuffle the encounter deck. So we take control of Williador. It says the first player gains control of Williador as an ally, can't have attachments. There's a force effect at the end of the round. At the end of each round, Williador suffers 2 damage. He starts off per this card here with 2 damage tokens on him already. So he's at 2, and every round at a minimum, he's at the end of the round going to get the 2 damage. Williador cannot be healed, though, of more than 5 wounds by a single effect. If Williador leaves play, the players have lost the game. And then, of course, just like the first time we played through it, Rhosgobel has this effect. While Rhosgobel is in the staging area, Williador cannot be healed, and so you have to be careful. That's why we have 3 copies of Asphaloth and 2 copies of Thor's Map, just to get this out of staging so that we can, as quickly as possible, start healing Williador. Okay, so Rhosgobel's threat is X. X is the number of players in the game, so it's going to contribute 1 threat. And we cannot travel here. This is why I talked about using Thor's Map or Asphaloth. The travel effect there says players must complete stage 1 of this quest before they can travel to Rhosgobel. We don't want to rush ahead to stage 2. So we'll get rid of this. It's not immune to player cards, so we'll get rid of it either through use of Asphaloth or Thror's Map. Okay, I kind of went a little bit out of order with all that, but just a reminder that we start off with Williador in play with 2 wounds on him. Rhosgobel goes to the staging area, cannot leave the staging area until, or actually we don't, there's a travel effect. It can leave the staging area, but we can't travel here until we've moved on to stage 2. And of course, creatures will surge, and at the end of each combat, Goblin Eagle Hunter will place an additional damage on Williador. All right, so 1B, the eagle's wounds cannot be tended in the wilderness, so you attempt to bring the creature to Rhosgobel, where the wisdom of Radagast the Brown may be its only hope. Okay, so let's get to it. Here's the resource phase. And we'll go ahead and use Bearvor's action, exhaust Bearvor to draw 2 cards. Don't have a good harvest yet. So what I usually do with my first my first planning phase purchase, I guess, is I put out Ranger Spikes more than anything. I think that's important, just in case like Ungoliant Spawn comes out or something like that. I'm not going to quest with Glorfindel because we don't have Light of Valinor, so let's just quest with Elrond, and we'll leave Glorfindel ready. There's this this target here, which is just telling us that the first creature enemy revealed during each quest phase gains Surge. So let's see what we get. And it is Dol Guldur Orcs, which will be ensnared by Ranger Spikes, so its threat's going to be 0. It'll be taken out of commission for the game. When revealed, the first player chooses 1 character currently committed to a quest. Deal 2 damage to that character. We just have Elrond as an option. And we made no progress. During the travel phase, we can't travel here because we are not, we have to complete stage 1 to actually travel here. During the encounter phase, I don't want to optionally engage Goblin Hunter. And at the end of combat, Goblin Hunter, it says deal 1 damage to Williador. And let's go ahead and automate this. Let's go per round. Damage is going to be 2. It'll just be an automated, that forced effect at the end of each round, Williador suffers 2 damage. So that'll be the only automated damage. We'll refresh and move on to round 2. And we'll exhaust Bearvor to draw 2 cards. Let's go ahead and attach Light of Valinor to Glorfindel. Let's play Daeron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard this Light of Valinor. And then we could go ahead and put out Asphaloth. But even if I clear Rhosgobel, well, let's go ahead and do it. Let's put out Asphaloth. We'll attach that to Glorfindel. All right, we're going to quest with Glorfindel, but we're not going to quest with Elrond because there is a treachery that deals 2 damage to each exhausted character. I believe that's right. Of course, there's Necromancer's Reach, which deals 1 damage to each exhausted character, but I think there's one that does 2. There's this one, deal 1 damage to each character without attachments. Yeah, deal 2 damage to each exhausted character. So there's just a lot of, and then this one is related to characters that don't have attachments. All right, so we don't want to exhaust Elrond because if that came out, I don't necessarily want to have to play a Test of Will. So let's reveal Goblin Eagle Hunter. Okay, so we were unsuccessful in the quest. Our threat goes up by 2. And during the travel phase, I can't travel here to Rhosgobel, but I will go ahead and exhaust Asphaloth. It says action exhaust Asphaloth to place 1 progress token on any location, 2 tokens instead if attached hero is Glorfindel. So 2 tokens, progress tokens on Rhosgobel. And during the combat or during the encounter phase, I won't optionally engage these 48 engagement cost enemies, but at the end of combat, each one of them will do a point of damage to Williador. Their forced effect says at the end of the combat phase, deal 1 damage to Williador. So he's at 7, and there's a health boost on both of these Goblin Eagle Hunters. So as you can see, we'll get to that 20 damage pretty quick if we don't draw into a Warden of Healing. Next round. Bearvor will draw us 2 cards. And I think we'll go ahead and play Master of the Forge and exhaust him. Action, exhaust Master of the Forge to search the top 5 cards of your deck for any 1 attachment and add it to your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. So that attachment will be, let's go ahead and do Song of Kings, and then we'll attach Song of Kings to Glorfindel. I like this because if we need to, we can sneak attack Gandalf in, like if we have a treetop eagle hunter or something like that. Okay, we're going to just quest with Glorfindel. And, you know, the extra hit point makes Goblin Eagle Hunter, you know, you can't just damage him with Gandalf's response. And at this point, I am going to go ahead and quest with Elrond. I don't want my threat to go up. And if that 1 card comes out that does 2 damage to exhausted characters, I'd want to play a Test of Will anyway to save Master of the Forge. So let's go ahead and quest with Elrond, and we reveal Great Forest Web. And rather than clearing Rhosgobel this round, let's exhaust Asphaloth to put 2 progress on Great Forest Web during the action window after staging. That means we made 1 progress. Because I can't heal anybody yet anyway, and so it says while Rhosgobel is in the staging area, Williador cannot be healed. So no reason, since I don't have a Warden of Healing yet, to necessarily clear that. At the end of the combat phase, 2 points of damage on Williador because I have 2 Goblin Eagle Hunters out. Refresh, and next round. So already at 13 damage, and there's our first Warden of Healing. Let's exhaust. Actually, let's do Master of the Forge. And we'll grab a Ranger Spikes. And Bearvor will draw us 2 cards. And we'll play Daron's Runes, draw 2 cards, and then discard 1 card from your hand. We'll discard this duplicate Asphaloth. So let's go ahead and play our first Warden of Healing. 2 costs to do that, of course. And then for free, we'll put out a Spare Hood and Cloak. We'll attach that to Warden of Healing. This can be attached to any character. Now, the reason I have this in my deck and the reason I'm doing this is there is a Treachery, which I'm just shuffling the deck each time I sort of look through it. But where's it at? There's I forgot about this one. Festering Wound deals 2 damage to each wounded character, so Elrond's in trouble potentially. But that's why we're putting out a Warden of Healing. Where's it at? The one about the attachments. Yes, here it is. Swarming Insects. When revealed, deal 1 damage to each character without an attachment. And so if I don't have an attachment for Spare Hood and Cloak, or if I don't have an attachment on Warden of Healing, that would kill Warden of Healing. And I don't want to have to play a Test of Will necessarily. And so we can just negate that. And generally, we're going to put Steward of Gondor on Elrond at some point. Oh, you know what? We can actually do that. Because Song of Kings is out. I don't know. I'd rather have access to a Test of Will and sneak attack, so let's not do that yet. But we are going to go straight to questing, and we're going to quest with Glorfindel and with Elrond and reveal Noxious Supplies, which is going to surge. This says when revealed, attached to Williador. This will count as a conditioned attachment with a forced effect. When attached character is healed by a card effect other than Athelos, the amount of damage healed is reduced to 1. Then discard Noxious Supplies. So this attaches to Williador. Surges into exhaustion. When revealed, deal 2 damage to each exhausted character. We would have lost Elrond. That's why I didn't want to worry about putting out Steward of Gondor. Let's cancel that with Test of Will and save Elrond and even our Master of the Forge. We made 1 progress. And during the travel phase, just during that action window, I'm going to use Asphalt to put 2 progress on Rhosgobel. It goes to the victory display. So now Williador can be healed. And during that same action window, I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Warden of Healing to heal 1 point of damage on 2 different characters. And so this is important for Noxious Supplies. Noxious Supplies says when attached character is healed by a card effect other than Athelos, which it just was, then the amount of damage healed is reduced to 1. Well, this is a healing effect of 1. And then in response, this is a separate healing effect. Elrond's response after a character is healed by another card effect, heal 1 damage on it. So Noxious Supplies will never be discarded. I don't have a card in my deck for healing other than Warden of Healing. And so Noxious Supplies never is discarded because it never actually reduces a healing effect. So we don't care about Noxious Supplies really. Okay, so we will put the 2 damage, though, at the end of combat on Williador from having the 2 different Goblin Eagle Hunters in play. Refresh. Next round. So already at 15 damage. Let's use Master of the Forge to grab the only attachment we can grab, the Steward of Gondor duplicate. And then Bearvor will draw us 2 cards. There we go. Been looking for that. Here is a good harvest. We'll go ahead and play that. And we're going to actually spend, I want to leave a resource on Glorfindel for potentially for a Test of Will during the questing phase, but then also maybe for sneak attack. So I want to leave 2 resources on him. Let's spend these 2 resources to pay for Steward of Gondor. We named leadership as the sphere from A Good Harvest. We'll exhaust Steward of Gondor. Elrond, of course, can spend resources from his resource pool to pay for allies of any sphere, and so that's how we're able to pay for Eagles of the Misty Mountain. I think, healing Williador is more important than anything. Let's go ahead and put out a Warden of Healing. If we have some sort of enemy come out, we can always sneak attack Gandalf into play. We'll attach a Spearhood and Cloak to this Warden of Healing. And we're going to quest with Elrond and with Glorfindel. And we reveal. Okay, here's a creature enemy. I thought about putting out a Ranger Spikes, which would have taken Black Forest Bats offline, but I thought to go ahead and put out the Warden of Healing. So this is a creature, and this force effect says the first creature enemy revealed during each quest phase gains Surge. So it's going to surge into Pitch Dark Thicket. While Pitch Dark Thicket is the active location, all characters lose the ranged keyword. Let's go ahead, rather than raising our threat by 3, let's exhaust Asphalt to put 2 progress on Pitch Dark Thicket. At least play, and now we have quested for 1 progress. And we will, during the combat encounter phase, we will have to engage a Black Forest Bats. It says only Eagle characters or characters with ranged can attack or defend against Black Forest Bats. And so that's where these Eagle characters, these Eagles of the Misty Mountains, come in so handy. Just going to get a Shadow card. And we'll go ahead just during the action window after, just in this framework here, we're going to exhaust Warden of Healing to go ahead and heal. Let's actually wait until this. There is a shadow effect that can do 1 damage to each exhausted character, I think. So let's just defend with Williador, 1 against 1, and no shadow effect. So he blocked that. And now we'll heal Williador for 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 separate 1-point instances, 1 of each from Warden of Healing, and then the response from Elrond. So Noxious Supplies is not discarded. At the end of combat, Shadow is discarded, and Williador is damaged by the Goblin Eagle Hunters. But we made a little bit of, we held the line, because now at the end of the round, we're going to go back to where we were, 15 damage. Okay, Master of the Forge will grab us. Doesn't really matter, we'll grab this Asphaloth. Steward of Gondor, Beorvor draws us 2 cards. So I have this copy of Shadow of the Past primarily just to help us if we discard somehow as a shadow card an Asphaloth, or not Asphaloth, an Athelos plant, we can grab it and put it back on top of the deck and assure ourselves that we'll have one. So that's why that's in. Just one copy in the deck is really all that's needed, if it's needed at all. Let's go ahead and play a Ranger Spikes and put this into staging. This might help us with any revealed enemy. And we're going to quest with Glorfindel and with Elrond. I want to be careful not to advance, but we're fine for now. We'll reveal a Mirkwood Flock enemy, which is a creature enemy. And so it's ensnared by Ranger Spikes. So it is offline, same as this Dol Guldur Orcs. But this will surge since it's a creature card. Force, the first creature enemy revealed during each quest phase gains surge. Surges into Caught in a Web. When revealed, the player with the highest threat level attaches this card to one of his heroes. This counts as a conditioned attachment with the text, attached hero does not ready during the refresh phase unless you pay 2 resources from that hero's resource pool. I'm not going to cancel that with Test of Will. I'll just put that on Glorfindel. It's not going to hurt us too bad because we're not going to have a whole lot to do with his resources anyway. And we made 2 progress. So I'm thinking it might be not quite time. Okay, so we're going to let Black Forest Bats attack Williador. And so 1 against 1. Williador can defend since it's an eagle creature. It says only eagle characters or characters with range can attack or defend. Okay, so this shadow says if Williador has 10 or less damage on him, deal 2 damage to Williador. He has 15. All right, so he blocks that successfully, and we'll heal Williador for 4 with our 2 different Wardens of Healing. At the end of combat, Shadow is discarded, and the 2 Goblin Eagle Hunters damage Williador. At the end of the round, refresh, and next round. So we're just kind of in this holding pattern at 15 damage. It's not every game that you have a couple of Goblin Eagle Hunters in play, so we'd be making some slow progress if we only had 1. Okay, I just exhausted Steward of Gondor. Here's Master of the Forge to grab us Thor's Map. Beorvor will exhaust and draw 2 cards. So it's not really worth it for me to put out another Master of the Forge. There's not any attachments I desperately need. It would be helpful to just draw cards, but we're okay. We have our 3rd copy of Spare Hood and Cloak, so I'm not going to play this Master of the Forge. I'll just save up my resources to keep from having the Black Forest Bat's not so bad, but eventually we may want to use Force Snare on an enemy that engages us. Let's wait though. For now though, let's go ahead and play 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put out a Eagles of the Misty Mountain using Elrond's resources. It says you may spend resources from Elrond's resource pool to pay for allies of any sphere. So we have another eagle character here. And so we'll quest with Glorfindel. And with Elrond again. Man, we just keep making a little bit too much progress. Let's just quest with Glorfindel. And we'll reveal Darkwood Grove. Darkwood Grove gets +1 threat and +1 quest point for each Athelos card in play. There aren't any. And what I'll do here is let's go ahead and play 2 Elrond's Councils. And just boost. Oh, yeah, and I can do that. I can actually play Elrond's Council and boost Glorfindel with it because I control 2 unique Noldor characters. One of them is Elrond, and so I'm using Elrond to boost another character, which happens to be Noldor. Okay, so we were unsuccessful in the quest, so I already did. I raised my threat by 2. Raises willpower by 2. Oh no, I was unsuccessful in the quest. Raise my threat by 2. I needed to do that. Okay, we'll travel here. Just get that threat out of staging for next round. All right, Black Forest Bat's going to attack Williador. Williador will defend 1 against 1. Shadow. If defending player controls at least 1 Athelos card, attacking enemy makes an additional attack after this one. I don't control one. And now I can attack back with Eagles of the Misty Mountains and destroy Black Forest Bats. Let's exhaust our 2 Wardens of Healing. And we've healed Williador at the end of combat. 2 damage, 1 per Goblin Eagle Hunter. Refresh. Next round. Okay, Steward of Gondor. Let's grab an attachment. It'll be another Thor's Map. Bearvor will draw us 2 cards. We'll go ahead and put out another Ranger Spikes, our 3rd copy. This can be hit or miss. Hopefully it's not one of the treetop eagle, well, the treetop spiders, whatever it's called. Okay, let's quest with Glorfindel. You know, one nice thing about Glorfindel and Caught in the Web is he never exhausts because of Light of Valinor, unless we attack, but we'll quest with Glorfindel, and we'll go ahead and quest also with Elrond, because we can make progress now and not worry about putting progress on the Wounded Eagle. We reveal. There we go, Ungoliant Spawn. So glad I put out Ranger Spikes. So she is ensnared. Her threat is just going to be -2. She'll be at 1. Let's put her over here. When revealed, each character currently committed to a quest gets -1 willpower until the end of the phase. So we were unsuccessful in the quest and our threat goes up by 1. At some point I want to deal with one of these Goblin Eagle Hunters. So Goblin Eagle Hunter has 5 health, 3 defense. So that's going to be, I need 8 attack. So Glorfindel and Gandalf just aren't quite enough. I want to get out a couple more Eagles of the Misty Mountain before I deal with the Goblin Eagle Hunters. So let's go ahead and heal Williador. At the end of combat, 2 points of damage placed on Williador. Oh wait, Asphaloth could have put 2 progress on Darkwood Grove last round and this round, so this should be cleared. I forgot to do Asphaloth last round on it. Okay, so refresh and next round. Okay, Steward of Gondor, here is a Song of Kings. Shuffle the deck, drawing 2 cards with Bearvor. We just need our 3rd Master of the Forge, or not Master of the Forge, Warden of Healing, to really start healing Williador. Right now we can't really make progress on that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's play an Eagles of the Misty Mountain. And maybe this is where we start to whittle away at the Goblin Eagle Hunters. Let's quest with Glorfindel and with Elrond. Actually, let's not quest with Elrond. Let's leave him ready. He could be really helpful for. So if we bring Gandalf into play, we could defend with Elrond, then attack for Well, it's probably best to defend with Gandalf and then attack for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, we'll see what happens. I think we'll just we'll quest with Elrond. We reveal. All right, here's our first Athelos plant. It's going to be guarded by a shot from the sky. Treachery. When revealed, attached to an eagle character, this will it'll count as a conditioned attachment with the text limit 1 per character. Attached character loses the eagle trait and takes 1 damage each time it readies. Don't really mind putting that on Williador, so he is no longer an eagle, and so each time he readies, he will receive a point of damage. Will think about, at some point, maybe playing a test of will to protect these eagles of the Misty Mountain from this treachery. But this surges into Labyrinthine Woods. While Labyrinthine Woods is in the staging area, creature enemies get +1 willpower and +1 attack. So that would put Mirkwood Flock, its I say willpower threat, it would put its threat at 2, but then -2, it's still at 0. Ungoliant Spawn would be at 4, -2. It should be at 2 momentarily. What I'll do is I'll just boost Labyrinthine Woods. So we were unsuccessful in the quest. Our threat goes up by 2. Asphaloth puts 2 progress on Labyrinthine Woods. We travel here. So this isn't guarded because the card that was guarding it was this treachery. All right, so let's go ahead and deal with a Goblin Eagle Hunter. We'll optionally engage Goblin Eagle Hunter, one of them. He gets his shadow, and we're going to defend. Well, we're going to bring Gandalf into play. So let's sneak attack Gandalf into play. And what we'll do here is we'll put 4 damage on this Goblin Eagle Hunter. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so Goblin Eagle Hunter attacks for 5. Gandalf defends. 5 against 4. Shadow, if defending player controls at least 1 Athelos card, attacking enemy makes an additional attack after this one. So it's one reason why I don't necessarily grab Athelos. I want to say Asphaloth. I don't grab Athelos plants because of this treachery, but 5 against 4 means 1 damage on Gandalf, and I can attack. I just need 8 attack to go to do this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's enough. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So we destroyed Goblin Eagle Hunter. And we'll heal this damage here, 1, 2, 3, 4 on Williador. At the end of combat, Gandalf comes back to hand, and this point of damage is put on Williador from the single Goblin Eagle Hunter. Refresh. When Williador readies, because of the shot from the sky, it says attached character loses eagle trait and takes 1 damage each time it readies. So we just put a point of damage on Williador. And at the end of the round, we're back to 15. We can't seem to make any progress. We will just momentarily. Here's Steward of Gondor. Master of the Forge grabs us a Song of Travel. Bearivore draws us 2 cards. We've almost drawn our whole hand. There we go. We have drawn our whole hand. We'll go ahead and play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards. And we're going to discard this Steward of Gondor. So let's put out our third and much needed Warden of Healing. And we'll attach Sparrowhood and Cloak to Warden of Healing. And then no reason to put out these Masters of the Forge. I'm going to spend, I'm going to play a Good Harvest to name Tactics. And I'm going to pay for our 3rd copy of Eagles of the Misty Mountain in that way. So we have 3 copies of Eagles of the Misty Mountain, which really help against things like the Mirkwood Flock and the bats, whatever they're called. I have a feeling I'm forgetting the Asphaloth. It's not a big deal, but we don't really want to make too much progress here. Let's quest with Glorfindel. Oh, and it should have been that to ready Glorfindel. Attached hero does not ready during the resource phase, during the refresh phase, unless you pay 2 resources from that hero's resource pool. So he should have 2 less resources. And as a result, let's go ahead and put out this Song of Travel. Now we can play a test of will if needed. Okay, we'll quest with Glorfindel and with Elrond. And we reveal the Necromancer's Reach. When revealed, deal 1 damage to each exhausted character. We don't mind losing Master of the Forge. And Bearvor gets a damage, and so does Elrond. And we made 3 progress. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Sorry, no, 3. That's all we need. That clears. And now I think we want to go ahead and get rid of this Goblin Eagle Hunter, which we don't need Gandalf's help to do that. Though, I guess it wouldn't be so bad for him to take the hit. Well, let's see. Let's just optionally engage Goblin Eagle Hunter. It's going to attack for 5. Do I want to sneak attack Gandalf in? I could do it by playing a good harvest, but I think I'm fine to... all we need is 4 attack. Let's just defend with an Eagles of the Misty Mountain. So 5 against 2. And okay, I love seeing that discarded. A Treetop Bird Eater. These are really tough to deal with. I like to save Sneak Attack Gandalf's for those. But 5 against 2 is 3 damage. And in fact, just to help us out here, it's easier to see the damage if I do it on this one. So this is the one that defended. And now we just need to attack back for 4. So I'll attack with 2 Eagles of the Misty Mountain, doing a single point of damage on Goblin Eagle Hunters. And so now it is defeated. So no more of that single point of damage on Williador. And we'll heal 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do a lot of healing here. Everybody's healed fully, and this is going to be 6 healing on Williador. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. And Williador will not be damaged by Shot from the Sky because he is not exhausted. Refresh. Next round. Okay, Steward of Gondor. At some point, I can just take an action, exhaust a hero to claim this objective. If it has no encounters attached, then attach Athelas to that hero. Let's go ahead and exhaust Bearvor to grab that. Might as well. We're not drawing cards with her anymore. And now she has an attachment which protects her from that treachery that deals damage to characters without attachments. Yeah, alternately we could have put Thor's map on her, but let's see, what else do we want to do? I think we're good to just move forward. We just want to wait to advance until Williador's able to be fully healed, and we can't quite do that. So I think we need to wait around. Let's quest with Glorfindel and with just with Glorfindel, and we reveal Swarming Insects. When revealed, deal 1 damage to each character without an attachment, and so that's why we have this these Spearhood and Cloaks attached to Warden of Healing. So, and Bearvor was spared because she now has an attachment. Williador has attachments, but we have to put 1 point of damage on each of these Eagles of the Misty Mountain. All right. We made 2 progress and did not quite clear the Wounded Eagle. And now there's no damage to be placed on Williador other than the end of round. Let's go ahead and heal damage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, of course, these points of damage were healed. We'll refresh. And move on to the next round. A Steward of Gondor. And I think we're pretty safe to just move on past this stage. I think let's do it. We'll quest with Glorfindel and with Elrond. And we reveal Black Force Batch, which is a creature. It will surge into Mirkwood Flock. And we made 3 progress, but actually during the action window, before quest resolution, before we place the progress, let's go ahead and heal all this damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's a reason why. And so now we go to quest resolution, and that's where we place the 3 points of progress. And so we have advanced past stage 1B, the Wounded Eagle. Let's move on to stage 2A, Radagast's request. The eagle's health has grown worse, but you have at last arrived at Rhosgobel, where Radagast examines the bird. He then asks you to head out into the wilderness to find the healing plant Athelas. Meantime, any healing lore or supplies your party has at its disposal can be used to assist in comforting the eagle until you return. Okay, so there's a response which we won't worry about, but basically it's a way you can reveal additional cards to hunt for the Athelas cards that might be in the encounter deck. Forced after a card effect heals Williador, remove that card from the game. So if I heal Williador with Wardens of Healing, they're removed from the game. That's why we went ahead and used the Warden of Healing right before quest resolution so that they were not discarded this round. Okay, during travel, nowhere to go. And so we have to, our threats such that we have to deal with both of these enemies. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and sneak attack Gandalf in and just destroy Mirkwood Flock. And Black Force Bats will attack, will defend. We can't defend with anything but an eagle or ranged character, so 1 against 2. And the shadow says attacking enemy gets +1. No problem there. And now one of these Eagles of the Misty Mountain can destroy the black, is it Black Force Bats? Yes, it is. So there is a single copy of Hummerhorns, which has a shadow effect that deals 1 damage to every character, and that's a real bummer with Warden of Healing. So, you know, we have a single copy of Hasty Stroke just for that. At the end of combat, Gandalf comes back to hand. We refresh, and at the end of the round, Williador will be damaged for 2. All right, Steward of Gondor will win the game right here. We know when we do this, we're going to lose Warden of Healing, but let's heal Williador for 2. And it says here, after a card effect heals Williador, remove that card from the game. Now, this response says after a character is healed by another card effect, heal 1 damage on it. So we don't want to use Elrond's response. We're just going to do, so I should actually have done 1 point of damage. We'll lose Warden of Healing. We'll heal here. Responses are optional, so I'm not using the response with Elrond, and that way he is not removed from the game. And then I use this Warden of Healing to heal the final point of damage. He is removed from the game. Let's sneak attack Gandalf in, just to give us as much willpower as possible. We'll lower our threat by 5. And we still have 1 resource on Glorfindel for a possible test of will. And let's quest. We'll send everybody on the quest, including Williador. And we're going to spend a resource from Glorfindel's resource pool to pay for Lay of Nimberdale. This card is definitely a big difference maker in this quest. A lot of games have won or lost based on this card in this deck. But Lay of Nimberdale allows us to take this action, choose a spirit hero until the end of the phase. that hero gets +1 willpower for each resource in its resource pool. And of course, Elrond, because of this Song of Travel, is a spirit hero, and so he gets +14 willpower until the end of the phase. And even if we spend a resource from Elrond's pool, that 14 is locked in place at the moment we paid for the action. We can actually sort of control our destiny here. Let's go ahead and spend 2 resources from Baravor's pool to pay for Shadow of the Past. Move the top card of the encounter discard pile to the top of the encounter deck. This isn't really necessary, but just so that we have complete control over what happens next. We will reveal Dol Guldur Orcs. When revealed, the first player chooses one character currently committed to a quest. Deal 2 damage to that character. We'll just cancel that with Test of Will. And so we made 30 progress. And we will advance. To return to Rhosgobel, feeling that time is running out on Williador's life, you gather the Athelos you have found and head back to Rhosgobel. You arrive at night wondering if you have found enough of the herb. When revealed, heal 5 wounds from Williador for each Athelos objective card the players control. I control 1. That's usually enough with Wardens of Healing and the approach we take where we heal right before advancing to stage 2. 1 Athelos assures a victory. So we have 1. If there was any damage, up to 5, Williador would be healed. And that's important that he has no damage on him, because if Williador is completely healed, when this effect resolves, Williador survives, and the players have won the game. Otherwise, the players have lost the game. But we won even without the Athelos. I just played the Shadow of the Past. That really is in the deck just to help us maybe grab a discarded Athelos. But there might be moments where you're desperate, and that can help you. Well, that is the quest. By pulling Dol Guldur Orcs back into the staging area, also I just kept from having a surging creature. Speaking of creatures, there might be a couple that we didn't see. We saw this just briefly as a shadow card, but Treetop Bird Eater is the most difficult enemy to deal with in this deck. Forced at the beginning of the encounter phase, Treetop Bird Eater engages the player who controls Williador. And so it's kind of a bummer if Ranger Spikes attaches to this guy, because he's just going to come down anyway. And if you get him in the first round or 2, it's difficult to do anything about. I mean, obviously Sneak Attack Gandalf is huge for Treetop Bird Eater. And also, while he's engaged with you, characters controlled by that player cannot be healed, so he can be really tough. Hummerhorns, really the biggest issue with Hummerhorns is the shadow effect. Deal 1 damage to each character the defending player controls. That would kill all of our Wardens of Healing, so I have a single copy of Hasty Stroke to deal with that possibility. But that is it. That's the quest, and as long as you get through the first few rounds, you usually cruise to a victory. I hope you enjoy the playthrough and that you'll continue on with me. The next quest will be from our next deluxe, which is the Voice of Isengard. I really enjoy the discard effects of the Wild Men of Dunland. I enjoy that part of that cycle. So looking forward to showing that to you. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.